Hello again, boys and girls. This is AppleCore666. And yes, confession time. Have you ever found yourself in one of those situations where you absolutely hate a place or a circumstance or some sort of job you're doing or some educational um, institution, and then once you've finally gotten your wish of basically just leaving it all behind, it's only then that you realise that maybe there were aspects of that you miss. Not so much a case of actually it wasn't all that bad, but yeah, it was that bad. But strangely, there are things that resonate well with you about it. Things you never thought would. Well, I guess right now I'm witnessing one of those. I'm having one of those moments. As some of you may or may not know, recently I came back from Spain. I say recently, but actually it was around June. So actually, time flies. I've been back now for 4 months. Prior to that 4 months, I spent 2.5 years of my life in Spain, from November 2012 to June 2014. Sorry, 2015. What I wouldn't have given for it to be 2014, but the matter of fact was it was June 2012 to June 2015. I actually got it right this time. Points. But yeah, I came back with a big fuck off smile on my face. I didn't complete my course. I always had this vision right from the very beginning that I'd basically complete my course and there'd be this big fuck off send off, congratulations and everything, and everyone goes home to their home country or to their home place. Some people studied there were from Spain themselves, but many, such as myself, came from other countries like the UK, Holland, Finland, Italy, you name it, many countries. I had this vision that, I'd finish at the same time as everyone else. We'd get this big university style congratulations send off. We all go home happy. But again, what you expect and what you hope for usually isn't what actually happens. I'll give you the backstory on that a little later in the video. But the bottom line is I'm still not completed my course, but I'm doing it here. I'm completing it over here. So the outcome is I've left Spain in order to complete what I should have completed in Spain over here. When I arrived back in June, 4 months ago, like I said, I had a big fuck off smile on my face. All I could think of was, I'm so happy to be back. This is basically, finally I'm doing what I should have done 3 years ago, which was look into a place closer to home that would actually be better value for money, and basically that isn't a giant scam, because that's what it is. That's what it was. Spain, and the school I was studying at, was a giant scam. They screwed over students with money, and not only that, they didn't have planes half the time. It was a waste of time. I felt like I was doing nothing there. I felt like my life was on hold for no reason, and there was nothing I could do about that. It was quite a depressing situation, not just for me, but for pretty much everyone else. They just didn't know what they were doing. All the while, I spent a good deal of the time over there thinking what could have been back home. A weight that's been greatly taken off my shoulders now, thank fuck for that. But yeah, while I basically came back and thought, you know what, now I get to continue here, I get to pick up the pieces. The past 2.5 years of my life have gone to waste, and I was bitter about that for a while, but I thought, you know what, enough being bitter about it, just, get on with it, and for a long time since coming back, all I could think was, yes, I'm happy. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be continuing in a better environment. I'm happy to be back on track, basically. And basically, yeah, start of a new era, pretty much. But all that was basically until only the other morning, yesterday morning, when I basically opened Facebook. And you know how it is, you open Facebook and you see all these uploads and statuses and whatnot, and I saw something by someone who I studied with, And that got me basically seeing how they were doing in terms of their timeline. I went on their timeline, and through their timeline, I went on someone else's timeline to see what was going on since I left and whatnot. And then I couldn't help but by default enter this whole nostalgia trip. Because although, yes, I got sick of the school and I got sick of the place, I had more than one issue with it. That morning, via Facebook, I basically checked up on people who I studied with and ended up doing a little bit of reflection. So I guess the first 3 months of being back from Spain was all about, just thanking my lucky stars I'm out of that shithole and, you know, making the most out of it and not looking back, basically. And suddenly, it's like the time is right for a little bit of reflection. That morning, I couldn't help but reflect back on what was essentially all 2.5 years of that experience. And what I found was something that if someone had told me, this time last year that I would be thinking this, I would have told them, fuck off. You don't know what you're talking about. No fucking way. What the hell are you smoking? But I never thought I'd say this. To an extent, I miss it. Only to an extent, and it's only recently that I've been made to realise that. Of course, there's a lot of things I don't miss. I still stand by my opinion that it was a waste of time, a waste of money, and I heavily regret it. But looking between the lines, I guess, looking past the negativity, and let's just keep it real, the majority of it was negativity. Looking past that, there were some good times. I mean, fact of the matter is, I met some pretty cool people along the way. We studied together, hung out together, shared experiences with each other. Stuff like that you don't forget in a heartbeat, I'll tell you that much. I met some decent people in and out of my school. I went to my first gig abroad. I saw Dark Tranquillity in Barcelona. I went to my first festival outside the UK, Resurrection Fest, last year, which was a pretty awesome lineup, like Megadeth, Five Finger Death Punch, Amon Amarth, and a bunch of other really cool bands played. As well as that, I basically looked back even further to the time that I started the course. I mean, as happy as I am to be out of it now, I basically looked back in the long run and thought, I remembered how happy I was during those first maybe 2 months of the course, because everything was fresh. The cracks were yet to appear, and if they were already there, the school did a very good job of hiding them, because during those first 2 months, everything was fresh, everything was new. I was none the wiser. I was quite ignorant, to be fair, and ignorance is bliss. I just thought, wow, this is going to be cool. Basically, this is going to be an awesome experience, and in no time I'm going to graduate and become a pilot. I was a bit of a dumbass for thinking that straightforward, because it isn't really that straightforward, but what can I say? Those first 2 months, I just look back on it and think, yeah, everything was new, everything was fresh before all the cracks began to show and all the corruption and everything that we had to deal with. Not only that, but I remember being, generally speaking, in a happier place around that time. Truth of the matter is, back then, I was very close to certain people who I wish I still was now. And what I mean still was, it's not that we've fallen out or anything, it's that people inevitably go their separate ways. That sort of shit happens in life. It happens to everyone, it's inevitable. It's bullshit, but it's inevitable. What are you going to do? But yeah, you know how there are certain people maybe that come and go in your life, and some matter more than others, or, well, actually that didn't sound too good, but some people you might miss more than others, you might have a connection to more. I remember being very much connected and very close to at least 2 individuals around the time that I started my course that I'm no longer am. I'm not going to name who they are. That's not going to happen. But basically, those people who to this day I miss, I was very close to them around that time. And, you know, without sounding like a sap or anything, because that's not manly. If I could turn back the clocks just for those first 2 months, I probably would, to be fair. And then time progresses and things change, people move on. So it's interesting to have that sort of scope as to, you know, what's happening now and how it's progressed since then. So looking back on the overall experience, as much as I hated it while I was there, I have to admit, being away from there for a while has opened my eyes to something that maybe I never anticipated that I would think. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And yes, I know, my lighting today is shit. Have to admit, needs to be said. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, share my face, and see you next time.